Darren, how are you?
Hello. I'm
Hello.
very well. How are you doing?
I've been very well, thank you. Well, considering, but we're busy. We're still doing stuff. You're still doing stuff. You're busy in your studio there. Is it? You're not in the Bronx, though, are you? Obviously.
I'm not in the Bronx now. I've got
No.
a little bit of an obsession with New York, so I've got various signs up all over the place. But yeah, this is my recording studio where I work and I do
Fantastic.
voiceovers, and yeah, it's all good, thank you.
Well, tell me about the studio, so I can. So what have you had to sort of? How have you had to change that room, or is it where is it? Are you at home, or is it your home
This is
studio?
this was what you call a small bedroom or an office, but I've had
Yeah.
it completely turned into a professional broadcast quality studio. So I'm not one of these people that's sort of voicing with duvets around my head and all that sort of
Yeah.
thing. I had the guys from studios called Moloko, who design studios for singers like Adele and Coldplay all over around the world. They came here, and I've got like a double acoustic door, got acoustic windows, again, two windows with treatment,
Yeah.
bass traps, sound, acoustic baffles.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful place to work. It's a nice big office. So yeah, it's a lovely sound.
It does sound good actually, even just your voice on its own through my speakers here. I mean it's a big thing. I haven't sound as you can see I've got a piano here and it's quite boomy and it's not soundproof, but it's okay for voice coaching, but it's definitely not okay for what you do. And so tell us a bit about what you do. So you're mainly a voiceover artist and impressionist as well, yes?
Yeah, I'm a voiceover artist. So I voice a lot of adverts for TV and radio.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I've got my main microphone is a Neumann U87, which is
Hmm.
in studios all over the world. It's a beautiful mic.
Yep.
I do a lot of corporate stuff, web videos, on-hold messaging for businesses in stores. So if you're walking around Asda, you might hear me. Um, yeah, lots of different, wherever you hear a voice really, and a lot
Yep.
of celebrity impressions and character stuff as well, which keeps it all very interesting.
Yep.
So yeah, it's one day to the next is completely and utterly
Oh,
different. One
fantastic.
day I
Well,
could be voicing a training video, the next day they might want me to play a dog for a radio commercial. It's great.
excellent. That's brilliant. So I wanted to ask you. So how would you? I mean, I'm particularly interested in the voice, as you know. So how would you manipulate your voice? How do you change the way you speak to fit a certain brief or a certain character or role? Or how would you? What's the procedure for that for you?
So, in terms of let's say if we take an advert or a corporate video, I've got show reels which demonstrate a lot of my range and my style. So you'll get the client, and they will, if it's a radio ad, the producer will tell me the style, whether they want it upbeat, wacky, serious, more down, hard sell. So I would tailor my read to that, and same to not a greater extent, but for corporate videos or web videos, if they wanted a certain way, if they want it upbeat, quite serious, quite informative.
Mm.
So, if it's a radio ad, some might want a really happy, smiley read, and as you can tell, I'm smiling, and my whole voice changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Terms and conditions apply. Sometimes they may want a serious voice, so the volume comes down, it's
Mm.
more bassy, it's at the back of my throat, and
Mm.
there's a gravitas to it.
Mm.
Sometimes if it's just a casual blokey read, you can sort of a bit more chatty, a bit more conversational, you can drop T's at the end. So it all depends on what the
Mm.
brief is, and how they want the script to be interpreted, what tone and style they require.
Fantastic. And what techniques what have you learnt over the years to adapt these, to adapt that method to how do you have any techniques that you use or have learnt obviously over the years to change your voice?
Well, as you know, before I was a voiceover
Yeah.
artist, I was a professional drummer
Yes.
for years,
Yes.
jazz and big bands and studio sessions and what
Yeah.
have you. So I've always had a good ear and a good, you see, someone like you will be able to probably break down the whole minutiae and the whole physiology of what's
Mm.
going on. I've got voiceover coaches, friends who talk about the larynx and the pharynx, and all I know is I can sort
Yeah.
of hear, I can feel where placement is.
But you're one of those natural people. Are you? Yeah.
Yes, sort of. I mean, if so for example, if someone wants a Jeremy Clarkson impression, um, straight away I go down to the back of the throat. Everything opens up and I start talking like this. Some might say that this is the greatest podcast in the world. There, or if it's like the guy from Gogglebox, in Derby, the Sadiqis, in Leeds, sisters Ellie and Dizzy. So
that's not you. That's not you, is it? Doing that?
That's not. It's Craig Cash. so I can just tell that he's got a slight rasp, and it's sort of it's instinct. I can hear
vocal fry. Yeah, or rasp.
Yeah, vocal fry. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Like, oh really?
Yeah. So you hear the sound very much like interpreting a sound on a musical instrument. Obviously, you listen to the sound, you're interpreting it, and you're simulating it, and you're producing that sound, and you're feeling it, but I suppose you don't necessarily need to know, as you said, the terminology for everything you're doing. It's a natural. You feel it. It's natural. But you've worked at it for long time. I mean, for instance, I'm terrible at accents. I can't do accents at all. But you're fantastic at doing accents as well. So that's obviously a part of the character and the person that you do, is getting that accent. Obviously, that northern accent you just did then. I'm not sure where it's from, but that's
and also, I mean, I'm quite a stickler for sort of delving into the minutiae. So, for example, I've been doing a lot of Boris recently because of, and one thing that Boris does when he says his S's, and the whole of my mouth shape changes. Yes, so he's got this slight, and sometimes he says charge. He's got a slight underbite as well, and it's all the sort of digging into the detail, and if you can put all those clues together, it helps round out the character and give it much more. Or see, I could do Boris like this. Hello, it's Boris Johnson, but it doesn't have the same gravitas as if you do that sort of mouth shape there. Yes, huzzah! So
fantastic.
Yeah,
that's brilliant. So you really metamorphosize yourself into the character, don't you? Really.
Yeah, I mean, so for example, if someone wants a Gordon Ramsay impression, and it's for a radio ad, instinctively, hey, big boy, right? Hey, look at me, young man. I'll do all these gestures, even though they won't necessarily translate, because it's all of that. I was watching some of his cooking shows yesterday. He's been doing these 10-minute live shows. And, even when he's with his family, like, come on, pan down, Tilly. That sort of exasperated.
That's fantastic. That's great. Brilliant. Well, there's another couple of questions I've got for you. Let me just have a look at my notes. Very professional of me. So how important is pace and timing for your when you're doing an overdub or something like that? How do you work with that?
Right, that's very interesting you say that, because I put out a video, excuse me, I think yesterday. If we're given a radio ad, and generally a radio ad in this country will be 30 seconds long, and you'd have a tag which is 10 seconds. So the writer, a good writer...
Hang on, whoa. What's a tag?
A tag, so if you've got the main advert that's selling you, go to Sainsbury's for this, for that, for the summer gear, strawberries, Pims, whatever it may be. You may have a 10-second tag which may say... a cut down version, a cut down, which may say, Sainsbury's, this summer, strawberries and Pims are only $5.99 at your local Sainsbury's. Bang, 10-second tag. So a good copywriter will know how many words will fit into 30 seconds, and the script will be a 30-second script. So it's our job to look at the script and just suss out the pacing, and to be able to deliver that with the producer on the line in 30 seconds, bang on, as close. If it's 31 seconds, he can chop it down, he can de-breath it, take the breaths off. If it's 32, it may be a little long for him. You can do things like shrink it, compress it. But ideally, if you want, I read, funnily enough, yesterday an example of a 30-second script, and I timed the stopwatch, and I got it in 29.88. So that's
Wow.
0.12 of a second.
And that's part of your brief, and part of your job, obviously, is to get it absolutely spot on.
If as near as damn it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for a corporate video, what I always say is, let's record the voice first, and then you can animate it or do what you want. So there's no time constraints, really. If you've got like a minute and a half, 2 minutes worth of copy, as you can imagine, that's trickier to start. The longer it is, it's trickier to start nailing down the time, really. Yep. So for web videos, commercial videos, you would record the voiceover first, then put the images. But for a 30-second radio ad, pretty much it's got to be bang on 30 seconds, really.
Right. So you're obviously aware of the pace and the how quickly and how slowly you generally speak, or depending on the theme or the brief or the topic, you might need to slow things down or speed things up.
Yeah.
In relation to how you speak, the pace of your normal speech.
Exactly. So, for example, for a corporate video or e-learning, when you're explaining something, you would naturally slow down, not to the point of it being laborious, but you would naturally, because you're imparting information and people are going to listen and take on board what you're saying, you can't rattle through things like we're chatting now.
Sure.
You've got to just tailor the read slightly, and be a bit more precise with how you enunciate.
Enunciate, lovely. Yeah. How important for you is dynamics and of tone and volume within your speaking?
Yeah, I mean, again, really, I studied with a fantastic vocal coach in LA, and one of the greatest things that I got from her was exactly that, was the ability to lower your voice, and it's got me out of a lot of different scrapes.
You mean lower in pitch or volume? Or
sorry, in terms of volume.
Yes.
She has a thing called like a hush, she called an active hush, and so it's the difference between me saying, "Hi Jimmy, it's an absolute pleasure to be here, having a lot of fun," and saying, "Hi Jimmy, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. It's a lot of fun." And that massive, like that sort of
huge change,
80% off. When people say, sometimes I've recorded adverts and they say, "Oh, it sounds too announcery, Darren. It sounds like selling." So if I drop the advert, drop the volume, talk like this, instantly it becomes less. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're right. Dynamics has got a lot to do with it, definitely.
And how in control are you over those the way you would deliver your? I mean, for a voiceover, for the brief, etc. I mean, would the director or the producer be very specific, or does it depend who you're working with, or how much?
They wouldn't necessarily bring that into the party. I think it's probably more our job to interpret it and to make those sort of, without wishing to sound arty-farty, those sort of artistic decisions,
Yeah.
If I'm reading something about the coronavirus, I wouldn't read it like this. I would probably more likely to read it like this. The coronavirus has killed, because you want gravitas, and it's like you say, it's our instrument, isn't it? As you well know, you're a singer and a vocal coach. It's our instrument. It's up to us to interpret how we use it.
Yes, fantastic, and that's why you get the gigs, which is good. So do you use props to when you're, I don't know about the voiceovers, but I probably with either voiceover or when you're doing impressions, do you use props to motivate and to inspire you with what with what you're doing? Here we go.
Let me just answer that for you 1 second.
By the way,
my citizens, it is I with a brand new baby. Yes, it is. Huzzah! And then you can do that, and you've got, "Hey, young man, well done."
So that's a yes then, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, that's my. Someone called it on Twitter, "Where's your uni wig, Darren?" Because
your go-to wig. Yeah.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't use props, only for stupid YouTube videos.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
one
yeah.
thing I do is that I'm talking to you now sitting down where I
Mm.
would edit. My mic is there, and I
Yeah.
always stand up, even if I'm doing
Right.
corporate. If I'm doing a 2-hour session
Yeah.
where it's a long script, I will always stand up
Why do you do that?
because I just opens myself up.
Yeah.
It's more natural. I mean, I can voice sitting down. It would
Mm.
feel really inhibiting if I
Yeah.
want to. If I'm doing character work,
Mm.
if I'm doing a Brian Blessed, I might want to do this. Because I can, but I would do
Yeah.
it standing up. You
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
and I just think that as far as hand gestures,
Mm.
what if it's voice acting, then you
Yeah.
can be more physical and use
Yeah.
the microphone. And as I said, it's got to the stage now that even if I was to do a 2-hour e-learning piece of copy, I would just do it standing up. I wouldn't bring the microphone down here.
So the mic's always up there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's just in a nice position as you would, sing a jazz standard, and it would be maybe on the stand, and you could snuggle up to it and do what you want to do.
Sure. Yeah. So one more question, if that's okay. All right. Thank you so much for being here today. Wonderful, taking out your time. The whole business of being a voiceover artist looks, to most people, rather glamorous, and and just what a fantastic, either a side hustle or an actual living to be made. What advice would you give to somebody who's thinking about getting into the business? And is it saturated at the moment because of the situation, or has it always been a popular thing to do? And how, what would be, what's your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I used to, up until recently, like a couple of weeks ago, moderate a voiceover forum, and there was 7,000 members.
Wow.
Every day there were more and more and more people coming into it, actors and people, and without wishing to sound like a grumpy fart or going into one, it's really saturated, especially now. Everyone thinks that they can buy a cheap mic, plug it in. Oh, I've been told I got a nice voice, and then away you go. I mean, as we've discussed today, just briefly in the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes, there's so many things. I mean, I studied and spent, a lot of time and money studying with the top LA voice coach to learn all these styles. If you're on a session, you should be able to give a producer 3, 4, 5 different styles, pick up different inflections, go up, go down, this way, different moods, learn all the different genres, to read to time, to interpret scripts, to edit. And when people, undercut and they use sites like Fiverr and they're whoring themselves out, for £10 or $5 because they think they can come home after work and earn a few quid. They don't. It's upsetting to think that a lot of people would see it as a side hustle, and it's not a job. It is. It's cost me thousands and thousands of pounds to build this beautiful studio and to study and all the gear, all the equipment, and just like a builder or a chef or a plumber has to learn their trade, you as a singer, you've spent hours and hours studying. It's exactly the same for us. And I think that when people go, "Oh, you're a voiceover, easy peasy, mate," it's a lot more than that. It's a job, and it requires, and it's a business. It's a business, and it's when there are lean times, you need to know how to market, who to approach, how to get work, and it's like anything else. It's a lot of time and patience.
Darren, thank you very much. How do people get hold of you if they want to book you or talk to you about voiceovers?
Yeah, well, my website is my name, darrenaltman.com, DarrenAltman.com, and I'm on Twitter. Exactly, my name is @DarrenAltman. And on Facebook, Darren Altman voiceover. So yeah,
fantastic, Darren. Great to speak to you as always. Really good to see you, and let's speak soon. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Jimmy. It was great fun. Thank you.